Like most successful franchises, Pokémon hasn't been afraid to ditch the classic formula of the originals in favor of something completely different. However, unlike most franchises, Pokémon has done this over 50 times. These are the Pokémon spin-off games, many of which have even become mini-series of their own. Today, we're going to be looking at every single spin-off Pokémon game released in North America, because that's where I live.
Hi there.
I also haven't played every single one of these games because, well, like I said, there's over 50 of them. That would take way too much money and time to do, and I've got world tournaments to win. Oh, as you might know, not all the Pokemon spin-offs are created equally. Some are better than others. Some make me question whether I even like Pokemon. Some make me question whether I even like myself. So, yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those games for both our sakes. Also, keep in mind that these are my opinions. Please don't light yourself on fire if I talk smack about a game you love. Lighting yourself on fire is extremely bad for your skin, and I would hate for you to go through that. Also, don't expect things like Legends Arceus or Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee on here either, because those are technically mainline games. Hey, I don't make the rules. If you got a problem, take it up with the big guy. So to start things off, let's go over the very first Pokemon spin-off game we got here in the US. That's right, it's Pokemon Pinball for the Game Boy Color. While it wasn't a mind-blowing, revolutionary take on the genre, Pokemon Pinball is still a very fun game. It's just pinball, plain and simple. You can't go wrong. The problem is that you also can't go very right, if that makes sense. 4 years later, we got Pokemon Pinball, Ruby and Sapphire. Once again, it's just plain old pinball. But what did you expect? It's easy to produce and hard to mess up. This game was also pretty fun, but slightly better due to the updated graphics. But unless you had the Game Boy Advance SP, good luck trying to see them. One thing that's plain to see whether you own a Game Boy Advance SP or not is how great Dragon City is! Today's sponsor of this video. Dragon City is a free-to-play mobile game that is available on all devices. You can collect thousands of dragons with different elements and rarities and build your own dragon empire. In order to grow your flying empire, you'll need to breed 2 dragons and get new dragon eggs, hatch them, and feed them to evolve. Take part in PvP fights in the combat and the arena fights, where you can challenge your friends and other dragon masters. Become a member of one of the alliances, interact with other dragon masters, and join exclusive events where you can unlock chests with awesome rewards. You can even join the battle pass and the weekly mini-games every week, where you can claim daily prizes and dragons. Download the game by clicking the link in the description, or scan the QR code and get a special free starter pack of 15,000 food, 30,000 gold, and the Flame Knight Dragon. One spin-off game you might know but have never played is Hey You, Pikachu. This video game released for the Nintendo 64 in 1998, and it has a funny little quirk that I like to call bad game design. Hey You, Pikachu is infamous for its central gimmick, speaking to Pikachu through a microphone you attach to your controller, and the microphone is absolute garbage. According to HowLongToBeat.com, this game takes around 8 hours to complete, and that's if Pikachu can even hear you. If you want to lose your voice playing another Pokemon spin-off, then look no further than the various CD-ROM games of the first 3 generations. Produced for what seems like $11, these CDs are made up of various puzzles and mini-games, some of which are downright unplayable. You're probably asking, what am I even looking at here? Well, I don't know exactly. My best guess is you are looking at a television or monitor of some sort. Maybe even a cell phone or tablet. Now, let's discuss the games that are more in my wheelhouse, the 3D battle simulators. Let's start with Pokemon Stadium. This game finally let us see our favorite Pokemon in 3D. Well, actually, Pokemon Snap did it first, but this was the first time we got to see them fight in 3D. This might not seem that crazy these days, but you gotta remember that we only ever saw the front and back of these things. Unless you watched every single episode of the anime, you didn't know how some of these Pokemon moved or interacted with their environments. With the use of the transfer pack, Pokemon Stadium allowed us to battle our friends with the teams we raised in red and blue on our TVs. You could also just pick any 6 Pokemon you wanted from the Gen 1 Pokedex, besides a select few. And if you didn't have any friends, there was also a single player mode. In the Gym Leader Castle, you could once again challenge Kanto's 8 gyms, Elite Four, and Champion in 3D. The problem was that the rental Pokemon they gave you were kinda bad. The game wants you to upload your red and blue teams. So if you didn't have the transfer pack, well, have fun being one-shot by Lorelei's Dugong. In Stadium mode, you can pick from 4 different cups, all with their own restrictions, and some of which have multiple levels of difficulty. Here, you'll face a gauntlet of various trainers with your red and blue teams, or those godforsaken rental Pokemon I mentioned earlier. Only a year later, we got the sequel, Pokemon Stadium 2. Now, this game might look like it's just the first Pokemon Stadium with Generation 2 Pokemon added in, and that is in fact the case. To be fair, Stadium 2 did have better minigames. Oh, but the first one had Magikarp Splash. No, Stadium 2 definitely has better minigames. For years, my friends would schlep a Nintendo 64 and 4 controllers to US Nationals just so we could all play Delibird Delivery. That's how good these minigames are. Plus, adding the Johto Gym Leaders, Elite Four, Champion, and the iconic battle with Red on Mount Silver is enough to place this game over the original for me. Not to mention, I may or may not have learned how to actually battle at Earl's Pokemon Academy. 6 years later, we got Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Nintendo Wii. Being a part of the 4th generation of Pokemon games, Battle Revolution was a much better battle simulator as we finally had the physical special split, double battles, and graphics that didn't make my eyes bleed. However, by this time, the novelty of seeing Pokemon in 3D had worn off. That and the general lack of content sort of made it feel unnecessary. The only real selling point was that you could use Wi-Fi to battle people online, which was still a cool new thing at the time of its release. Oh, and also, important VGC battles prior to 2011 used Battle Revolution, which I personally think was a neat touch. Like the Stadium games, you could use your teams from the Gen 4 games to take on every battle in the game. So if you just wanted more content, then this game was definitely an option. I just didn't care. Solely part of the Nintendo DS library, the Pokemon Ranger series was also a favorite of mine, specifically Shadows of Almia. With Gen 3 coming to an end and the DS on the horizon, the Pokemon Company was really trying to make Pokemon Ranger a thing. We got several anime episodes, a feature film, and manga adaptations all based around the idea of Pokemon Ranger. Thankfully, the games didn't disappoint. Could you imagine? It would have all been for nothing. Actually, I guess it kind of was all for nothing if you think about it. Because the central catching gimmick required the use of a stylus, these games are now a relic of the DS era and likely won't return. At least, not in the way we knew them before. This isn't to say these games are dated by any means. I had a lot of fun with them, and I'm sure I still would today. Don't take that as an excuse to make a mobile version, please. Another spin-off released for the Nintendo DS was the highly underrated Pokemon Conquest. I say underrated, not because people rate it lower than it should be, but because not a lot of people have actually played it. Released in 2012, this game came out extremely late in the DS's life cycle. Conquest was also a huge departure from the mainline games. This was Pokemon's first and only crossover to feature characters from a different franchise, Nobunaga's Ambition. Because of its strange release, Pokemon Conquest sort of fell into obscurity. And it's a shame because it is so good. Being in the tactics genre, Conquest required a ton of strategy and critical thinking. Throw in Pokemon and I'm all in. If you get lucky enough to find a decently priced copy of this game, I highly recommend picking it up. While we're at it, let's tackle some of the other obscure spin-offs. Of course, these might not seem like obscure games if you're a diehard fan, but please, keep it to yourself. First up is the Pokepark series for the Nintendo Wii. Pokemon already has a reputation as being a game for babies. Well, Pokepark Wii, Pikachu's Adventure, and Pokepark 2 Wonders Beyond are actually made for babies. These entries are just so simple and boring. I mean, you literally play hide and seek. I know the sequel has its fans for being a legitimately open world RPG with some pretty impressive graphics, but I still personally can't get past how easy it is. Next up, we got the Pokemon Rumble series. There are 5 Pokemon Rumble games. Who is playing these? In Pokemon Rumble, you play as a Pokemon toy. This was clearly an excuse to reuse the models from My Pokemon Ranch, Spoiler alert. Oh, have we not talked about that yet? Ugh. All right. The Rumble series isn't that important. It's fun for about 10 minutes. I don't know how anybody got through 3 hours of it, let alone 50? And that's only the first game? How long are the rest? Oh God. Moving on. Pokemon has a bunch of games that aren't really games, if you catch my drift. Pokemon Box, My Pokemon Ranch, Pokemon Bank, Pokemon Home. These are all games that only function as storage for your Pokemon. That's it. Pokemon Channel, another baby game. This game consists of various channels that you browse through, each containing something you can play or just watch. Literally, there's a channel where you wait for an egg to hatch. It can take anywhere between 5 minutes and 24 hours to hatch. If that doesn't make you fall asleep, there's also a channel where you can count Mareep. Yeah. The only redeeming factor I can think of is the free Jirachi you get for unlocking the full Pichu Brothers episode. It's truly a shame what happened to that Pichu brother. I can't even imagine what jail is like in the Pokemon world. Pokemon Art Academy was a crossover with the Art Academy series. Didn't play this, I can't draw. Pokemon Picross was originally meant to come out for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, but didn't get released until 2015? Again, I can't draw. Pokédex 3D and Pokédex 3D Pro. They're really blurring the lines now. Pokemon Troze is a fun little puzzle game. I actually played this one a lot as a kid. I remember it being a game like Bejeweled, which I got really into when I went to visit my grandmother one summer, and it was the only game she had on her computer. Not sure how well it holds up by modern standards. What I said about Troze applies to Pokemon Shuffle too. At least it was free to play, and oh, would you look at that? They made a mobile version too. Speaking of which, Pokemon hasn't been afraid to delve into the mobile market. In Pokemon Magikarp Jump, you raise a Magikarp and try to make it strong enough to jump higher than the other Magikarp. This is a funny little novelty game, but it's nothing to write home about. I did anyways.
Dear Mother and Father, I hope that this letter reaches you well. Today, I spent an hour engaged in a game of Magikarp Jump on that device that you gifted me half a moon ago. I believe it is called the
5th generation iPad mini.
Dare I say it, but I must confess, I mildly enjoyed my time with it. Tonight, I plan to snuggle up and get...
Pokemon Smile is a thing that makes me Pokemon frown. Pokemon Cafe Remix is another mobile game which I have zero interest in ever playing again. This game was so boring at launch, they completely overhauled it a year later with Remix. I guess it's better, but I have more important things to do with my time. Like learning an entire digital board game with Pokemon Duel. Nope, never got around to it. This mobile game was based on the trading figure game that Pokemon came out with in the late 2000s. I never played that, so I didn't really have any interest in playing Duel either. And it looks like I wasn't alone, because only 2 years after launch, the game was taken off the App Store. I sort of feel the same way about Pokemon Masters EX. At launch, this game just felt pointless. I've been told that it's gotten better recently, but it's too late, Masters EX. The damage is done. Pokemon Unite has been out for about a year, and I've had a ton of fun with it. A couple months back, I even participated in a tournament that you can check out here. Sure, the game has a bunch of microtransactions, and some of the skins are way overpriced, but you can definitely get by without spending a penny if you just want to play the game and you know what you're doing. Pokemon Quest is another mobile game I just have no interest in trying out. I've heard it described a lot as baby's first Minecraft, so I figure if I'm gonna play anything in the style of video game, it should probably just be Minecraft itself, right? Alright, now it's time for the grandfather of all mobile Pokemon games. Beloved by some, despised by others, the one, the only, Pokemon Go. Regardless of how you feel about Pokemon Go, you can't deny how important it was to the franchise. The game brought so many people into the series, whether they were fans before or not. The summer of 2016 was the summer of Pokemon Go. The game might not have had a ton of content at the time, but that didn't stop us from trespassing into private property or walking into trees and walls. If anything, it just made us play more, so we would never miss that rare Snorlax spawn down the street. Pokemon Go made its way onto social media, the news, and even the election. It was a phenomenon nearly on par with the Pokemon craze of the 90s. Despite Pokemon Go seeming way less popular now, it actually still has an active and engaged player base. It's even at the World Championships now thanks to the addition of PvP battling. Just like Pokemon Go has formed its own community of dedicated players, so has the trading card game. I actually competed in trading card game tournaments for close to 7 years when I was much younger. The game requires a ton of money to keep up with the meta, and the same goes for if you just want to collect the cards. The solution to that is to play the digital versions of it. If you bought a special deck of base set 2, you also got a CD-ROM game called Pokemon Play It. This is mostly just a way to learn the basics of the game and only included a few decks. A couple months later, we got a way better version for the Game Boy Color that blew my socks off. This TCG simulator was more than just a digital version of the card game. It also included a story mode where you had to defeat 8 club masters, gym leaders, 4 grandmasters, elite 4, and a champion. Although it wasn't an ambitious original take on the RPG, its similarities to the main series allowed for players to easily cross over into the TCG, and I was one of those players. It's a shame that the sequel was exclusive to Japan, because apparently it's even better. Maybe if it had come out in the US, I'd be the TCG World Champion instead. Oh. Speaking of me being the World Champion, I know what you're thinking. Wow, Wolf, you have so much of the World Champ difference. You should share it with me, your beloved viewer. Wow, beloved viewer, that is an excellent idea. I am thrilled to announce the official World Champ Difference merch. That's right, now you too can have the World Champ Difference and look stylish while doing so. I've partnered with a professional merch company for this, and I am very impressed with the quality of the clothes as well as the design itself. Go to wolfey.store to get yours today. Alright, does the trading card game online count as a spin-off? I mean, it's literally the TCG, but online. Wait, do Pokemon Play It and the trading card game for Game Boy Color count? Did I just waste all this time writing those sections of the video for nothing? Either way, it's a really good way to experience the TCG without needing to be in the same room. I know it's used by tons of competitive players. Moving on, Pokken Tournament was also exclusive to Japan, until it wasn't. Originally an arcade game, the Pokemon Company saw potential in porting it over to console, and a year later it was released on the Wii U. And another year later, it was released on the Nintendo Switch. And now it's one of the most iconic and highly competitive esports to ever be created. What's that? It's not? They canceled it? When? And now the Pokemon Company has removed it from their Championship Series live events. The truth is, despite being a beloved game to a small group of people, there just aren't enough players left to continue supporting it. This year, only 14 people registered to play it in the European International Championships. Despite the low player base, the people who really care about Pokemon really love it, and I imagine that's for a good reason. I'm not a very big fighting game guy, so I didn't really spend much time with this one, but the graphics never cease to amaze me. Graphics have never been Pokemon's strong suit, but that is definitely not the case for new Pokemon Snap. I loved the original Pokemon Snap growing up. Even though the game was simple, and I could beat it in a few hours, the replayability was endless. I loved going back through every level and using the new items I got to bring out different Pokemon, or see them do different things. Much like Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2, new Pokemon Snap is just an improved version of the first one. Except, enough time passed between Snap and its sequel to justify making it. Just like the original, new Pokemon Snap is a pretty short game, but it makes up for it in its replayability and visuals, the latter of which the original Snap did not have. The last Pokemon spin-off game for the Nintendo 64 that I have yet to talk about is Pokemon Puzzle League. This game is based on Tetris Attack, a game that I am very bad at, so you can imagine how much I enjoyed this. What I did enjoy, however, was seeing all the characters from the anime return with their original voice actors for a brand new story that took place after the events of the Indigo League. Once again, you battle the 8 Kanto gym leaders, except instead of traditional turn-based Pokemon battles, the thing I am very good at, you fight with Tetris Attack battles, the thing I am very bad at. Same goes for the sequel for the Game Boy Color. This one included Johto Pokemon, but they decided to base it on the Gen 2 games instead of the anime. Did you know that there were 2 Pokemon games released on Facebook? I wonder what the meta is for those games. Am I right? A meta? Let's knock out the remaining games that I don't care about real quick. Pokemon Dash. Fun for 5 seconds, carpal tunnel after 5 minutes. Detective Pikachu. Funny voice acting, off-putting graphics, incomplete story, movies better. Pokemon Dream Radar. I actually hate this game vehemently because you needed to play it a ton to unlock the reveal glass in Gen 5, which transformed the genies to their Etherian forms, and you could only complete so much of the game each day, and you had to use the camera and motion controls to complete the game, so every day I would wake up and run around my house waving my 3DS around like an idiot. It was a bad time. What isn't a bad time? Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. These games were a combination of the Battle Simulator spin-offs and the main series games. And by that I mean, you got to progress through a story, but you had to stop to battle someone every 2 seconds. Which isn't a bad thing if you like battling like me, especially since they were all double battles. Plus, you get to steal your opponent's Pokemon, something that I always wanted in the mainline games, and in real life. Although it might seem repetitive to some, the story, the graphics, at the time at least, and the difficulty were all top-notch. I would happily go back and play these games again, but I might choose Colosseum over Gale of Darkness, purely for nostalgia. Climbing all the way to the top of Mount Battle was a grind for sure, but the challenge was so ridiculous that it didn't bother me. Some of those last battles are so exhilarating. I still sweat through my shirt thinking about them to this day. If you ever see me sweating, I'm having Mount Battle flashbacks. Before we touch on our final spin-off game, I want to share the spin-off game I most want Pokemon to make. A Pokemon Auto Chess. I'm a huge fan of teamfight tactics, and I think the formula translates so well into Pokemon. I'm not sure it'll ever happen, but I can confidently say that if it did, it would become my most played Pokemon spin-off. Well, we're finally here. The final batch of Pokemon spin-offs. The Mystery Dungeon series. Renowned and hated for its complete departure from the mainline series, the Mystery Dungeon games are not for everyone. In these games, you play as a human turned Pokemon, who has to save the world by fighting through randomly generated dungeons and befriending other Pokemon along the way. If you're not into dungeon crawlers or the idea of playing as a human who turns into a Pokemon, this might not be for you, but you'd be missing out on some of the most well-told stories and intense gameplay that the Pokemon series has to offer. I cannot tell you the amount of times I got riled up by one of these games, whether it be the meticulously constructed plot unfolding with twist after twist, or the thought of having to restart a dungeon after getting so close to beating it. These feelings are all compounded in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, the greatest Pokemon spin-off of all time. That's right, Wolf Glick thinks Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky is the best Pokemon spin-off there is. Quick, tell the press! In all honesty, this isn't the most outlandish opinion to have. Explorers of Sky is widely considered the best of the spin-offs, at least within the fanbase. If you've played this game, it'll most likely top your list. Unfortunately, there's a ton of people who tried Red and Blue Rescue Team first and decided it wasn't for them, and thus never touched Explorers of Time, Darkness, or Sky. Maybe if they'd started with Explorers, it would have been another story, because it is a different story, way different. A better story than any of the stories in the mainline games. After a couple hours, this story had me engaged like no other Pokemon game had before. These characters felt fleshed out and properly developed. The twists legitimately surprised me, and the final hours were better than the final seasons for most TV shows. Is the game a little unbalanced? Sometimes. Is it easy to exploit mechanics to win every boss battle? Maybe. Did I cry when I fell into a monster house and lost all my progress? Yes. But it's still so much fun, and I recommend everyone try it out. Explorers of Sky is my most replayed Pokemon spin-off game, and with the exception of Pokemon Emerald, my most replayed Pokemon game, period. Without Emerald Kaizo, it would be the Pokemon game I've replayed the most times. It's a Pokemon game that you can play for the story. Really think about how outlandish a claim that is. Imagine playing Pokemon Sword for the story. I don't care what anyone says, I do not need a second more of BD in my life. If you haven't played Explorers of Time, Darkness, or Sky, you're doing yourself a disservice. So there you have it. That's every single Pokemon spin-off game released in North America. Sorry it was a bit all over the place, I just didn't want this to be a list where you knew what was coming next. Keep them on your toes, that's what I always say. Thanks again to Dragon City for sponsoring today's video. Download Dragon City for free and get your special reward of 15,000 food, 30,000 gold, and the rare Flame Knight Dragon. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.